WWE could potentially be signing two international stars who just became free agents, and this is generating a huge conversation, really because these two names have kind of been rumored to be going to AEW. But if WWE signs them, of course, that's going to continue their incredible momentum in NXT with their women's division. Plus, we got to talk about WWE and AAA. Conan is coming out speaking about some details that I think are really, really important to discuss. And we do got to talk about a new TNA signing that makes me super thrilled to talk about. It's all coming up right here on the Ango Show. All right, guys, I want to kick things off first with Conan. I think this is probably the most interesting topic to discuss when it comes to WWE and AAA because we don't really know what AAA will become. But what we do know is Conan is talking about this on his podcast, the K100 podcast. And basically, he has confirmed that he will have a role in the creative with WWE taking over the company. Now, I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of this because I do think this is going to be a debatable topic for sure, which is completely fine. But I don't know if I could really talk in depth about Conan's contributions as a creative person, right? I watch AAA from here, here and there. I pay attention to what's going on here and there, but I'm not 100% in the weeds of the AAA product because, as you guys know, covering WWE, AEW, New Japan, TNA, GCW, NWA, there's just so much to cover. It becomes a rather difficult task to constantly watch absolutely everything. Now, with that being said, the reason why I'm super intrigued by this is because it's being said that Jeremy Borash is going to have a major role within the AAA WWE acquire the fact that they acquired the company. So I don't know if WWE is really going to move AAA to WWE NXT Mexico. I don't know if they're going to keep the name. I don't know if we're going to see a lot of WWE involvement, but I do think to a certain extent we definitely will. I think WWE is going to make a lot of changes here, and I think WWE is going to be very involved with the product as it moves forward. Now, as far as Conan basically being part of the creative team, is this WWE just helping him retain a job because of the relationships that he has with a certain talent there, whatever it may be? If is AAA going to go through a whole bunch of new championship belts? Are they going to rebrand the entire company? Is this a complete takeover of the company? I think those are all very valid questions. I think those are questions that we need answers to. And quite frankly, I think it's going to be quite a bit of time until we get those answers. It sounds like Conan's going to be involved because he has those relationships with talent. It sounds like Conan will be involved because he's going to be the middleman for both, what WWE has in America and then obviously what they have in AAA and Mexico. So definitely something to pay attention to for sure. And that brings us to our next topic. Ladies and gentlemen, TNA has officially announced the signing of Indy Hartwell. If you guys didn't watch TNA Rebellion, they did make this announcement on the show. She is one of the three international talents that TNA has signed. And some new details that have come out, according to Fightful Select, is that she's actually been signed to the company for at least over a month now. So this was just a matter of TNA waiting for the right moment to bring her in, give her a debut, whatnot. And quite frankly, I'm excited about this. Indy Hartwell is such a great talent. Indy Hartwell did a lot of cool things in WWE NXT. And I think WWE, I think they knew they had something special with Indy Hartwell. I think Indy Hartwell was just very unlucky in WWE. They have a plethora of talent. Like there is an overabundance of talent. And she just kind of got the shit end of the stick. However, what's really cool here with Indy Hartwell going to TNA is the fact that TNA has lost a lot of talent to WWE or AEW. So this is an opportunity for TNA essentially to kind of rebound and recover some of those losses that they've had. What's really cool about this too is Indy Hartwell is not only a talented character, right? She's good on the mic, she's a good character, she's good with her acting skills, but she's also a good professional wrestler. And that's why it's fantastic news for TNA, right? Obviously Tessa Blanchard is quite controversial, and she had a great match with Masha Slamovich, but I'm not sure if wrestling fans will accept the fact that Tessa could become TNA Knockouts champion again. And I think when you're looking at somebody to take the belt off of Masha Slamovich, they do have quite a few talented individuals there ready to go But I do think Indy Hartwell is the most primed and ready to step in for that role when they're in fact ready for Masha Slamovich to drop the belt. And I think ultimately that's what this is going to lead to. I think Indy Hartwell will get a massive run with TNA, and I think it's the right choice for TNA. I think TNA used to be known as the company with a fantastic knockouts division. And because of so many talents leaving for AEW or WWE, it's really impacted them. And I don't know. Listen, AEW got Deanna Purrazzo and Taya Valkyrie. They're not really doing anything of noteworthy stuff in that company. Maybe they revisit TNA and go back there and they rebuild that knockouts division. That would be really cool. Obviously, Jordan Grace probably isn't coming back. She's going to be a major star for WWE. But it is something to consider that it was a need for TNA and they corrected that and they fixed it. Now I wonder who else is actually signed to the company because there should be 2 more new signings that are revealed. Hopefully we'll get those answers relatively soon. TNA's got a whole bunch of tapings and stuff coming up. So definitely something to be excited about. Can't wait to see where it ends up going. And hopefully the company continues to keep up with this momentum. And that brings us to our final topic of today's video. Ladies and gentlemen, this one's a massive one because I honestly thought both of these ladies could be headed to AEW, but it sounds like WWE is very well in the mix. Mayu Iwatani and Thekla are both leaving Stardom. And for a lot of people who may not watch Stardom, these are 2 absolute great talents who would make for great television, whether it is AEW or WWE or TNA for that matter. I think these 2 signings would do great things in America. That appears to be the plan. But I really want to focus on Thekla. Mainly because for a very long time there was some rumors that Thekla would be coming to AEW. There was rumors that Tony Khan for a long time was trying to bring her in due to their relationship with Stardom, which doesn't appear to be the case at this exact moment. Now, I do want to make it very clear in years past, WWE has also wanted to bring in Mayu Iwatani, and there is this belief that she could very well be bound for WWE. Well, I think really what matters here is that these 2 find a new home in which they are properly utilized and American fans, because I obviously being based out of America, I talk about this because maybe not everybody watches Stardom, maybe because of the time zone differences and whatnot. It's a problem, right? So for me personally, I look at this as like they can come to America, come to AEW or WWE, and wrestling fans will legitimately like their work. They're 2 very talented individuals. I think there's a lot more upside with Thekla. And I think with WWE bringing them both in, they're both going to go to NXT. If AEW brings them in, I think you're going to see how AEW normally does things. They bring them in, a couple matches here and there, and that's it. Obviously, I think there is a lot of potential with both of them. I think WWE, because historically speaking, they have tried to bring in Mayu Iwatani in. I think that's a very big talking point. I also think when you look at Io Sky, for example, who is getting this massive run, I think people definitely pay attention to that. And I think if Mayu Iwatani goes to NXT or if Thekla goes to NXT, which seems to be the most probable choice at this time, if that does end up happening, I think WWE is going to have an amazing amount of potential main roster feuds in the future. I talk about this a lot. Charlotte, Becky, Bailey, Sasha, they were all shoved down our throats for a very, very long time, and we needed some fresh faces in this women's division. And it appears that, with Julia and Stephanie Vakir, and obviously now we got Zarya, and we got so many new faces there, Jordan Grace, we are going to have fresh matchups. The best part is we are going to have some NXT call-ups. If you want to keep the NXT women's division hot, WWE they do have to bring both of these ladies in. And that's how WWE continues the momentum of the women's division. And quite frankly, I support it. I think WWE or AEW would be great landing spots, but I do think WWE would be a little bit better considering how much better they have been with their women's division. I don't think there's an argument or a debate for that. I think WWE has clearly understood that they had to make changes to their women's division booking on the main roster, and now they're starting to follow the same stuff that Shawn Michaels does in NXT, which allows them to do this on the main roster as well. So when those call-ups happen, I think this makes room to keep going, and that's really exciting. But anyways, guys, I want to know what you guys think. So as always, drop a comment down below. Thank you for watching the Ango Show.